and the frog tells the scorpion, he's like, hey, look, I probably shouldn't take you across the river because I know what you are. And at some point you're going to sting me because that's what you do. And the scorpion gaslights the frog and tells the frog, hey, why would I do that? I'm trying to get across the river and you're the only way I can do it because I can't swim. Why would I do that? Do you think I'm nuts? And the frog is like, well, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. Why would you do that? You would have to be nuts to do that. Let's go. And halfway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog and they both drown. And you know, on the way down to their horrible death, the frog's like, son of a bitch, why did you do that? I told you were going to do it. Why did you do it? And the scorpion's like, because it's in my nature, dumbass. I wanted to make a rant about borderlines and narcissists and psychopaths today. Because long ago I made a video, very long ago, made a video about whether narcissists date other narcissists. And somebody left a comment that was caught in my spam filter for quite a while. And I just stumbled upon it now. And it was a very interesting comment. I'm going to share it with you guys in a little bit. But you know, a lot of people ask me what happens when a narcissist dates another narcissist. Do they destroy each other? Do borderlines and narcissists date? Do psychopaths and sociopaths date? You know, like attracts like sometimes, and other times that whole like attracts like phenomena is not really that you're one of the same, but sometimes you're the complete opposite, and you're magnets for each other, like a codependent, like a taker and a giver. Sometimes they'll attract each other, right? A victim needs a shooter needs a victim. So this video is going to be a rant about that. I also want to share an experience I had long ago when I was talking to a girl that was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and I'm going to let you know how that went. But first and foremost, let me just jump right into the comment and highlight this one. It comes from a woman named Hospital for Souls. It's a really cool name. All right. She says, in response to the video, in response to the question, do narcissists date other narcissists? She's like, oh, heck yeah, we do. I'm a woman with borderline personality disorder and comorbid antisocial PD. The men who become drawn to me are always antisocial narcissists. Some covert, some malignant. They love me. Why? Because I get obsessed with them the same way they do, and it feeds their monstrous attention appetite. I also have a long history of abuse, and it's rare that I ever put my needs over theirs. So I find myself catering to everything they want. On some darker level, though, some guys want that Ken and Barbie killers thing and have referred to me as Bonnie many times. Bonnie and Clyde, not the same as the Barbie and Ken killers. I have to admit, it's a pleasurable fantasy. They get attached to me when they learn about my conviction of poisoning my roommate. And it seems to fuel this Wattpad relationship where we're basically Joker and Harley Quinn, and it's cute. But reality sets in not long after. We are two very toxic people who destroy the other person mentally and feel no kind of remorse. Well, you know what? Thanks for sending that, first of all. That was crafted very creatively. I like the way you crafted that. You know, anyway, I do want to highlight a couple of things from her comment. Like, I love how she just boasts about how they love her and how she gets so obsessed with them in the same manner that narcissists get obsessed with their new supply right away. So it's cool that you're self-aware of how you behave, and you're self-aware that it's a toxic pattern of behavior. I want to comment on that, not to attack you, but and not to side with narcissists and psychopaths whatsoever, but having worked with a lot of survivors from this in my coaching program, I've gotten to meet people from all over the world. And not everyone is in their 20s, okay? A lot of people that I work with have been married with children, married multiple times sometimes, or married for a long time, and finally stumbled upon my videos and realized, wow, this is what I've been dealing with all my life. And they finally developed the courage to divorce or to separate, or they were discarded and they find themselves in a rock bottom and they're really, really struggling. And that's not the reason why they contact me. They contact me because of the person they dated after they were either discarded, or after a divorce, or after their wife left them, or some crazy thing like that. It's the person that they met either on a dating app or somehow they, through a mutual friend, something happened, their divorce wasn't even finalized, and they met somebody. And this person basically love bombed and love bombed and love bombed in a short amount of time, but just enough to make them feel like, wow, my wife has never even shown me 5% of the love and attention that you have shown me in one day. And I have been married to this woman for 20 years, and here in one day, in 1 week, in a couple of weeks, you have shown me all this attention. You have praised me, you have put me in a pedestal, you have found common interest with what I like. We share the same movies, books, music, bands, experiences. And someone that's coming out of a long-term relationship where they felt they weren't loved, where a sexless marriage, where they felt maybe there was infidelity, all sorts of devaluation throughout the entire thing. And they meet someone that just overwhelmingly blows up their ego with all this attention. It's easy to fall for them. It's like a drug. It's easy to fall for them. But then reality kicks in, and it's like, hey, wait a minute, this is too much too fast. What the heck is going on here? I need a commitment, or your actions don't match your words. And all this confusion starts to set in. But by that point, it's too late. If you're not familiar with the patterns, with the toxic patterns of a borderline, of a narcissist, of a psychopath, it's easy to fall prey to this. I look back at my experience with a psychopath, and it was kind of sort of like that. I was in a long-term relationship. Some of you that have worked with me know my previous life, right, a long time ago. And I met this person who was everything that I had outlined on my vision board, that I looked at every day, that I had cut out photos, everything that I wanted in a partner. This person was that. And I was instantly like blown away. I was like, oh my God, I was blown away by it. And you know how that ended, right? You know how that ended. So if you're coming off of a relationship and you feel broken, and you feel like you've been done a disservice, like you've been betrayed, like you've been abandoned, like you wasted your time, you try to raise a family, and then your husband or your wife cheated and they destroyed everything, or they were alcoholics and they just drove you up the wall, and everything came crumbling to a bitter end, and then you meet somebody and it's like, wow, you're everything I've ever wanted. Like I never thought I would meet someone ever again at this point in my life. And you do meet them. It's very easy to feel like they're your soulmate. It's very easy to get sucked into the trap. Or sometimes the broken person itself is the one that gives them all this attention and puts them on a pedestal. Because it's like, oh my God, you're like an angel to me, and you blow that person's ego up, and they don't deserve it. And what's really going on is that you're coming from a broken place, so desperate for love, so desperate for affection, so desperate to have a romantic partner, to have sex again, so desperate, so needy, that you tend to put out the same or familiar patterns of a borderline, of a narcissist, you tend to put out the same type of patterns where you're love bombing and you're just blowing up their texts and showering with gifts and putting them on a pedestal too fast. And then you realize that they're also flawed, like your ex-wife, like your ex-husband, or they do something that triggers something your lying, cheating ex did, and now you think, oh, too good to be true, I knew you were just like them, I knew blah, 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 and then all of a sudden, you go and you start devaluing. Doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't that what the narcissist does when they realize that you're not what they thought you were, when they put you on a pedestal, and God forbid you call them out on some unacceptable behavior, and now it's like, that's it. You're not this perfect person anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't like anything about you. And they start devaluing and devaluing and devaluing you until eventually you are replaced. You are replaced because they groom somebody else in the meantime to make sure that they are secure with somebody else, and then they drop you like a bad habit overnight. And you can't understand what happened. Broken people do that too. People that have unprocessed trauma do that too, and they don't necessarily qualify for an antisocial personality disorder. Okay? But they do that too, at unprocessed trauma that hasn't been resolved. Childhood wounds, abandonment issues, all sorts of stuff. They're grown up now. They're grown up. Their brain has realized the difference between love and pain and abuse and abandonment, and they don't want to get hurt again. So they see something familiar, and it's like, oh, that's it. It triggers a wound, and they're like, no. I'm gonna close my doors. I'm not gonna let you hurt me the way the ex-wife did, and they'll shut you out, and they'll block you. Now the other person thinks you're a narcissist. Because that's the buzzword now, right? So, this platform is an opportunity for everyone to come together and to vent and to get educated on a more colloquial level, on a more, down-to-earth level where it's not bookworm shit, But we have to be careful not just slap that label on everybody that you date. If everybody that you date, they tell one little white lie, that doesn't mean they're a complete fucking liar. And oh, well, all narcissists lie, so that means that they're narcissists too. No, it doesn't. But it's a good guideline to have, because when you are really dating a psychopath, believe me, and your brain has this cognitive dissonance, and you have this dark spell, this dark web, this fog. You just can't make a rational decision to save your life. Everybody's pointing like, hey, dude, don't you see what we all see? And you still don't see it. And the person's blatantly cheating on you. The person is blatantly gaslighting you. And they still have your vote. That's when you're really dating somebody with an antisocial personality disorder. That's when you're really dating a cluster B, because across the board, victims and survivors of narcissists, psychopaths, borderlines exhibit the same type of symptoms in the aftermath. That's how we know. That's how we know without going and for the perpetrator to sit with a psychologist and get a proper diagnosis. But that's how we know. We've dated people all our lives. We've been through relationships. Some people have been married multiple times and do not carry the trauma that we have carried. They don't. I dated an alcoholic a long time ago. Full transparency. I've mentioned this here and there before. Another lifetime ago, I experienced a lot of trauma from that relationship. And 12-step program and trying to help get sober. I stopped fucking drinking 15 years ago. 15 fucking years ago. Just to prove how easy it was. And you know what happened? I never picked up a drink again. I was like, I don't even like this shit. And it's one of the best decisions I ever did in my life. I'm proud to fucking say it. And you know what? I carried that trauma, but I healed from that trauma. And I have dated many women that I'm okay with them having drinks in front of me. I'm not gonna drink, but you wanna have a couple drinks? Cool. But the minute you start acting like a fucking moron and 2 drinks becomes 10, and you're dancing on fucking tables half naked, and you're getting fired from your job, and you're getting a DUI, and you're embarrassing me, that you get cut off. But you want to have a drink or two here and there, and loosen up and cool and feel a little buzz, and that's cool. Does it have to be all the time? I hope not. And that's how you know you heal from shit, where you can still participate with certain things, and it doesn't trigger you. It doesn't cause a trauma response. You know, and when you're dealing with a narcissist, when you're dealing with a psychopath, when you're dealing with a borderline personality disorder, it tends to really do a number on you. You know, and you have to be able to recognize what's a common response by somebody doesn't mean you any harm, and somebody that's seriously mentally ill. Somebody that's seriously mentally ill checks off all the boxes on those diagnoses, right? But anyway, I did want to talk about, she mentioned the Bonnie and Clyde thing, and it's like, that's something that's very common. You know, it's like me and you against the world, we're in our own bubble. And this fantasy that you know, you're both these bad people, and yeah, it's utter horseshit. They both destroy each other. They destroy each other. Two narcissists dating, a borderline narcissist dating, a psychopath narcissist dating, they're going to destroy each other. It's not like all of a sudden their disorder there's immunity there, right? And all of a sudden there's an exception. No, there's never an exception. I always talk about the scorpion and the frog, and the frog is ferrying the scorpion over the river, and the frog tells the scorpion, he's like, hey, look, I probably shouldn't take you across the river because I know what you are. And at some point you're going to sting me because that's what you do. And the scorpion gaslights the frog and tells the frog, hey, why would I do that? I'm trying to get across the river and you're the only way I can do it because I can't swim. Why would I do that? Do you think I'm nuts? And the frog is like, well, shit, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. Why would you do that? You would have to be fucking nuts to do that. Let's go. And halfway across the river, the scorpion stings the frog and they both drown. And you know, on the way down to their horrible death, the frog's like, son of a bitch, why did you do that? I told you were going to do it. Why did you do it? And the scorpion's like, because it's in my nature, dumbass. So, you know, you're dating someone that's telling you, hey, I'm a diagnosed borderline or I'm a diagnosed narcissist. Well, then, you know what? That's your problem. You get what you deserve. That's what you get. That's what you get. So, you know, many, many years ago, after my experience with my psychopath ex-girlfriend, I met a girl online, not through a dating app, okay? But she found some of my work on Instagram and started DMing me, and we started chatting. She was cute and blah, blah, blah. And we exchanged numbers and we started talking. She lived out of state. So, you know, my rule is that, you know, don't date someone out of state unless you're trying to, you know, just hook up, or I'm willing to go see you right away to see if there's actually chemistry, to see if something's gonna happen. But, you know, so we were talking on the phone, and after a couple of weeks, you know, she told me she had a borderline personality disorder diagnosis out of nowhere, and was crying on the phone and was talking to me about her ex and yada, yada, yada. And I wasn't even doing this type of work yet. I was still in my training stage. I was still working with my mentor, learning, trying to process the trauma. But I just remember, I was like, well, that's a red flag. I was like, well, thank you for telling me. But I kept entertaining our conversations because they were cool. And yeah, she became obsessed with me. She learned everything that I loved. We would be on the phone for hours. She had this incredible energy. I loved talking. I hadn't even met her, but I loved talking to her on the phone. And we would laugh. I would be in tears laughing with her at everything. It was awesome. It was so awesome. And I remember when I was like, hey, I'm going, you know, I have friends in town. I'm going to go fly over there. And obviously while I'm there, I want to spend time with you. I want to meet you. I want to see you in person. Let's do all this shit we always talk about. Let's go to a show. Let's go grab some food, blah, 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 blah. And, well, she flipped. For no apparent reason, she just flipped. Ignored me, blocked me. All this shit is like, it was like a bipolar response, as a matter of fact. And that was the end of that. And many years later, you know, she contacted me and she apologized and she told me what had happened and it's all her fault, and she got these stupid ideas in her head and she got obsessed with it and blah, blah, blah. And remember, I told you I was borderline, blah, 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 and this and that. And I was like, well, fuck, you know, but that's what happens. You know, and I'm glad that that's what happened. I'm glad I never even met her in person, because then you get bonded to the person, and then you really, really like them if it's in the cards for you to, you know, like each other. But no matter what, it always tends to end that way. It always tends to end that way. Whether it's a borderline or narcissist, it doesn't matter. You get caught up with somebody like that, and at some point, their unprocessed trauma, their disorder, whatever it is that they have, it's gonna come up, it's gonna surface, and you're gonna have to deal with it. And dealing with something like that, it's not easy. And if you think you're gonna fix the person, you lose, because you can't fix them. And if you just try to accept it, you're going to live a miserable life. They will utterly destroy you at some point. They become obsessed with you, and then they hate you. It's just how it works. I didn't make the rules. I don't like the rules. I didn't make them up either. I have to accept them. And by accepting, I mean, you know what? I'm not going to date somebody like that. The minute I see something that's as exaggerated, irrational response and patterns of behavior that match the cluster B umbrella, and I try to have a rational conversation. Hey, let's have a conversation about this. What are the facts here? And the other person is unwilling to listen, unwilling to acknowledge the facts. They try to twist shit, they gaslight, they spaz out. When you call them out, it's like, here are the facts. I'm not making this up. Like, here's your text. Here's your text. It's not a screenshot that was manipulated in Photoshop. It's your text. Look, I'm scrolling through the phone. There's your text. That's what you said. And now you're telling me you didn't say that. And they still gaslight, and they still try to make you think that you're crazy. No, 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 no. Fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You know? So my advice is, if you have the, I'm not going to say the opportunity, but if you end up dating somebody that volunteers their diagnosis, don't even waste another minute trying to get to know them in a romantic level, because every moment that you get closer with them is you know, a step closer to your grave. You know, just don't do it. You know, so the whole Joker and Harley Quinn thing, yeah, it's cute, isn't it? But Joker and Harley Quinn would try to destroy each other. That's what they did. You know, and I'm glad that I'm talking to Hospital for Souls now. I'm glad reality does set in for you, and you understand that you're going to destroy each other, and you're not going to feel any remorse about it. That's just how it is. Why don't borderlines and narcissists feel remorse? Going to the why don't psychopaths have empathy? You know, I feel borderlines feel a lot. I think borderlines have a lot of emotion and are able to exaggeratedly feel things that maybe a narcissist or a psychopath may not. Maybe they have the ability to block it out and not feel any remorse about it. Maybe some people that are borderline are really sociopaths and they've progressively gotten worse. I don't know. There's case-by-case situations here. But reality does kick in. At some point, that fantasy, that balloon, that illusion pops. And when it pops, you're at the mercy of how the disordered person is going to deal with that. When that bubble bursts, are they going to take that personally? Are they going to feel like, you see, everybody I fall in love with ends up hurting me. Every time I think I met the right one, it blows up in my face. Maybe they look at it that way, and maybe they don't realize they're the ones that did it. They don't realize their toxic behavior, their obsession is what caused the issues. I don't know. Case by case situation, right? But the victims always feel the same, don't they? The victims of narcissist abuse always have the same story to tell. And when they come to these videos and they see that everyone is pretty much sharing their same exact story without knowing each other, it's like, whoa, finally I got my answers. Finally I got my answers. You know, it's tough. But one thing I can tell you, and why I started the video talking about all the dark stuff, is, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of people with these disorders that are just extremely creative. You know, again, that girl with BPD that I was talking about, very creative. She was an artist, a painter, photographer. Like she would do amazing stuff. She would just do amazing work. And I was like, that's really cool. Where do you come up with this stuff, right? The brain just works in a different way. That doesn't mean that all creatives have a disorder, right? It doesn't mean that. But it's not just the common sheep that are just walking around and they offer nothing else to the world. They just don't, you know? And sometimes it's the psychopaths that create cool shit. Sometimes it is the narcissists that are able to create these really, really good businesses and corporations and design stuff and whatever. And that, unfortunately, those people just, they're not good at being hitched. You may admire them for all the good work that they do and all the money they can make and all the stuff that they can craft. And it's like, man, I want, that's who I want to, you know, that's who I want to marry. No. Those people cannot have a healthy marriage. That's the part of the brain that just doesn't work right. They can do all this other shit. Again, does that mean that everybody that can't be in a marriage, not meant to be in one? I'm just throwing things out here because I know some of the things I say resonate with a certain part of my audience. Not everybody is meant to be in a relationship or a marriage and have kids. It's not in the cards for everybody. And if it's never working, it's never working. And you're not the one with the problem, and you've been to a shrink, and you're not a psycho, and it just never works. Sometimes I say you have to fix your picker, right? Who are you attracted to? What type of energy are you attracted to? What time is it? Oh, gotta go soon. Sometimes it's fixing the picker, or sometimes it's going deep and finding what is your bigger purpose to be on this planet. Maybe, you know, popping kids was not it, right? Maybe there's some more important work that you need to do, and you need to jump on it now instead of chasing tail all the time. Or oh, woe is me, I'm alone, and, you know, nobody loves me. Stop that and start finding some passions, start finding some stuff to do, to enjoy your life, to leave a legacy behind, your own legacy. It doesn't mean you have to be a billionaire to establish this person left a legacy. Whatever it is, search deep down. And don't post it on social media for other people to tear down either. Keep that sacred and secret. Keep it sacred and secret. And yeah, that's my rant. I hope I made some sort of sense. And Hospital for Souls, I appreciate you taking the time to leave a comment on one of my older videos, because you gotta go back to the beginning for that one. Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's all I have for today. Now remember, I have a coaching program where if you are dating or married to a psychopath or a narcissist, and you're going through the hell that it is that we all went through, and want to work with me, I have a private one-on-one coaching program, and we will get to the bottom of this, and I'll help you through walking out of hell. Okay? If you want to work together, shoot me an email. I have a link below in the description where you can get more information on the program. Okay? Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Leave a comment if some of this resonates with you. If you have a question, if you disagree with what I'm saying, I'd love to hear the circumstances that are different from the majority, right? Because there's always something in there that's worth looking into and studying and developing and understanding. So please take the time to leave a comment if that's you. And if you want to buy me a coffee, I also have a link in the description. I love coffee. Thanks for everything, guys. I will see you in the next video. My name is Kira. This is Psychopath Exposure. Until next time, peace.